So we're with Andy Glascott, our Director of Youth Ministries, since this past summer. And Andy, I read something you wrote about yourself once, and you said that you described yourself as an Irishman with an English accent. And I'm wondering, how does one get to be that kind of person?
How do you pick up an English accent as an Irishman? As a very staunchly proud Irishman with an English accent. I grew up in Ireland, on the south side of Dublin, with a South Dublin accent, which has faded a little bit over the last 20 odd years. But in 1996 I moved to England, to the city of Birmingham, where I got much more nasal accent, man. And so 18 years in England have corrupted my Irish accent, with time in different parts of the UK, in England, giving me different accents and dialects and vocabularies.
So when you go back home, do you pick it back up again?
Straight away. Even on the phone home, I typically call home on a Sunday afternoon, and instantly my dialect will change. My accent doesn't change quite so much on the phone, but certainly after a few days at home, we get home about once a year, my accent will start to refresh its Irishness.
When did you know you wanted to work with youth?
I'm not entirely sure. I've been involved as a volunteer at my home church and at district and national level in Ireland, and went to the UK for a year initially, discovered I could do a gap year as a youth director for a church in England, and then towards the end of that discovered that churches in England would pay me to do it, and I thought, hey, I can get paid doing something I would be doing voluntarily anyway. This sounds like a good idea. So applied for a job, got accepted into that one, and I've been in youth ministry ever since, coming up for 24 years full time. I would say that 2006 I was exploring ordination, and part of the reason I pulled out of that was I very much sensed that youth ministry was my call, my vocation, rather than pastoral church leadership ministry that you might find yourself in.
Mm-hmm. Were you in a youth group when you were growing up?
I was, but it was very small. The Methodist Church in Ireland is extremely small. There were about 10,000 members across the island of Ireland when I was growing up. So my youth group, I remember there were 4 in our confirmation class, and probably 8 or 10 of us that were committed to youth group. I probably only made a commitment to faith at the age of 19 after I left school, even though I was confirmed at 16. But it was on my first national youth retreat that I realised that faith for young people was something they were serious about. And I remember going home that evening and praying along the lines of, God, if you're real, I want to know. But nothing happened in that moment. But over the course of the next year, so many things were confirmed for me. And faith has been a central part of who I am ever since.
Let me ask you one more question, Andy. Why'd you come to Reveille, and what do you love about Reveille? 2-part question.
Why did I come to Reveille? The youth program here has a long history of success, well established, and it's central to the life of the church. One of the key things that both keeps the church active and vibrant and keeps it young is keeping youth and children's ministry at the heart of what they do. So many churches tend to silo it off into a different part of the building or a different evening, and it's great, oh look, we have a youth program, but we don't really want to interact with them. Talking to other youth directors across the conference and in my interactions with others, the reputation of Reveille attracted me, and in talking to people specifically about it when I saw the advert for the position, knowing and learning just how central youth and children's ministries are to the life of the church was key in attracting me.
Well, to that point, one of the things that I think in some ways, if I were to sum up how important youth are to Reveille, is the fact that probably our highest attended service of the entire year is 5:30 on Christmas Eve. And all of the music is led by our youth. And they do such a phenomenal job leading that service. And there are not many churches out there in the world, I would say, who would have 800 people in their sanctuary and say to the youth, you're on tonight.
Yeah.
But we do that, and that's because,
fantastic.
and it's because we people like you and people like Daniel, and have just invested in them throughout the year.
But we can't invest in them and see those events happening without the support of the wider congregation. Daniel and I can put together the greatest program on the planet, but if it doesn't have the buy-in from the congregation to support and encourage not just the program but the individuals and build relationships with those young people, our work's going nowhere without that buy-in.
That's right.
That centrality is crucial.
It's one of the great blessings, I'm sure, of youth ministry here is all the adult support that you do get and the people
Yes,
who
very
help you.
much so.
All right.
Yeah, and I noticed that we were working on a Thanksgiving theme last night at youth group, and one of the students, I don't know who, wrote posted saying thank you for all the adults involved in youth ministry.
Oh, that's great.
So it's noticed, not just by us who kind of work for these things, but by our students as well.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you're here, Andy.
So am I.
All right.